Mid-fall break has ended and we are back on campus, in the studio, and in full swing of No Shave November. Thanks for joining us here on Franciscan Beat News. I'm Thomas Pear. We've got a lot of news to break down from the past week, so let's get right to it. A recent graduate of Franciscan University is dead tonight after a water skiing accident in St. Lucia. Nate Coleman and his wife Mari were on their honeymoon after their wedding on Saturday. We don't know the full scope of the accident, only that a tragedy has occurred. His parents rushed to the Caribbean island to be at his wife's side. Members of his household, Disciples of the Word, and Mari's household, Daughters of Zion, began to share the tragic news on social media last night. Christ the King Chapel held a holy hour for his repose this afternoon, coinciding with the time of his autopsy. Meanwhile, the Herald-Star reports that a Jefferson County grand jury has handed down 16 indictments against a man who allegedly shot at police during a high-speed chase across 3 states, and another who fired multiple rounds at a sheriff's deputy. Adam Coy Roberts of Mingo Junction will stand trial on 2 felony counts of assault, each with a firearm specification, along with misdemeanors of inducing panic and using weapons while intoxicated. Tyler Joseph Carhut of Toronto will face charges of aggravated burglary, aggravated assault, felonious assault, and failure to comply with the orders of a police officer, all felonies, along with misdemeanor counts of aggravated menacing and criminal damaging or endangering. Several others were indicted in separate cases. A former Southern California street gang leader pled not guilty to murder today in the 1996 killing of rap music icon Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas, a charge prompted by his own descriptions in recent years about orchestrating the deadly drive-by shooting. Clark County District Court Judge Tierra Jones told Dwayne Keith Davis that prosecutors are not seeking the death penalty against him in this case, which could put Davis in prison for the rest of his life if convicted. Jones also named special county public defenders Robert Arroyo and Charles Cano to represent Davis at the taxpayer's expense, after Davis lost his bid to hire private defense attorney Ross Goodman. Mike Pence has a resume most White House hopefuls would dream of: a congressman, a governor of a big Midwestern state, a one-time vice president. In normal times, someone with such credentials would be well positioned to win their party's presidential nomination. But these are not normal times, and Pence's decision to end his campaign more than 2 months before the first contest in the Republican primary underscores the extent to which the party has been subsumed by former President Donald Trump and his lies about the 2020 election that he lost to Democrat Joe Biden. Pence made his surprise announcement Saturday in Las Vegas, where he and other GOP presidential hopefuls spoke at a summit sponsored by the Republican Jewish Coalition. But in many ways, Pence's campaign ended years before it officially began. In the days leading up to January 6th, that was when Trump, desperate to hang on to power, became convinced that Pence, as president of the Senate, could somehow reject the election results, a power which then Vice President Pence did not possess. Pence ran on the record of what he fondly referred to as the Trump-Pence administration, while also criticizing his former boss. He accused Trump of abandoning conservative principles on issues such as abortion and of putting himself above the Constitution to stay in power. Pence spent much of his campaign advocating traditional conservative policies, including more U.S. support for Ukraine, even as those ideas have fallen out of favor in a Republican Party increasingly aligned with Trump's populist and isolationist leanings. The Ohio Republican Party is scheduled to host its primary on March 19, 2024, alongside primaries in Arizona, Florida, and Illinois. Pennsylvania's primary is currently scheduled for April 23rd, but that date could change as it conflicts with the Jewish Passover, and West Virginia's primary will be held on May 7th. Matthew Perry was widely mourned last weekend by friends, co-stars, and some very famous fans, including his childhood classmate, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, his friend's mom, Morgan Fairchild, and even Adele. Perry, who played Chandler Bing on NBC's Friends for 10 seasons, was found dead at his Los Angeles home on Saturday. He was 54. Trudeau, who attended primary school with Perry while their parents worked together, wrote a tribute on X, formerly Twitter, saying, quote, "I'll never forget the schoolyard games we used to play, and I know people around the world are never going to forget the joy he brought them. Thanks for all the laughs, Matthew. You were loved, and you will be missed." Perry's mother served as press secretary to Trudeau's father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, during his time as Prime Minister. This truly is the one where our hearts are broken, Friends creators Marta Kaufman and David Crane, along with executive producer Kevin Bright, said in a joint statement Sunday. They said, quote, "We are shocked and deeply, deeply saddened by our beloved friend Matthew's passing. We will always cherish the joy, the light, the blinding intelligence he brought to every moment, not just to his work, but in life as well. He was always the funniest person in the room. More than that, he was the sweetest, with a giving and selfless heart." The heir to the Spanish throne, Princess Leonor of Asturias, swore allegiance to her country's constitution on her 18th birthday Tuesday, laying the groundwork for her eventual succession as queen when the time comes. The nationally televised ceremony from the lower house of parliament is understood to symbolize the continuity of Spain's parliamentary monarchy and the institution's allegiance to the chamber. The ceremony was necessary for Leonor to be able to succeed to the crown and someday become queen. Leonor became crown princess when her father, Philippe VI, was proclaimed king on June 19, 2014. Her photo has appeared frequently in the media lately, along with the term Leonormania, underlining her growing popularity as the modern face of the future monarchy. Princess Leonor is currently a Spanish Army officer cadet receiving basic military training at the General Military Academy in the northeastern city of Zaragoza. In the next 2 years, she will also train at the Naval Military Academy in Marine and the General Air Academy in Murcia. Anheuser-Busch said Tuesday that revenue growth in most of its global regions was offset by a drop in North American sales in the third quarter, in a sign of continuing fallout from a promotion with a transgender influencer. The world's largest brewer and parent company of Bud Light said its revenue climbed 5% to $15.6 billion for the July to September period. That was in line with Wall Street's estimates, but revenue in the United States tumbled 13.5%. Bud Light sales plunged in early April amid a conservative backlash after the brand sent a commemorative can to transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Bud Light also angered supporters of transgender rights who felt that the company had abandoned the influencer. U.S. retail dollar sales of Bud Light were down 29% in the 4 weeks ending October 21st, compared to the same period a year ago. Those sales are down nearly 19% year to date. We want to take a moment to warn you that the story you're about to hear may be disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. The U.S. infant mortality rate rose 3% last year, the largest increase in 2 decades. According to the CDC, white and Native American infants, infant boys, and babies born at 37 weeks or earlier had significant death rate increases. The CDC's report, published Wednesday, also noted larger increases for 2 of the leading causes of infant deaths, maternal complications and bacterial meningitis. Infant mortality is the measure of how many babies die before they reach their first birthday. Because the number of babies born in the U.S. varies from year to year, researchers instead calculate rates to better compare infant mortality over time. The U.S. infant mortality rate has been through worse than other it's been worse than other high-income countries, which experts have attributed to poverty, inadequate prenatal care, and other possibilities. But even so, the U.S. rate generally gradually improved because of medical advances and public health efforts. Finally tonight, a federal lawsuit filed Tuesday alleges that the investment arm of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints misused hundreds of thousands of dollars donated by 3 men by investing the money instead of using it for charitable purposes, as they claim was promised. The legal action brings more scrutiny about how the faith, known widely as the Mormon Church, handles its vast financial holdings bolstered by so-called tithing from members who contribute 10% of their income every year. The church doesn't publicly disclose details about its finances. This new lawsuit against the business and investment entities under the church in the U.S. District Court in Salt Lake City is similar to one filed in federal court in California by James Huntsman, brother of former Utah Governor John Huntsman Jr., that recently scored a partial success on appeal and remains pending. That lawsuit seeks the return of $5 million he donated before he left the church. In February, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission fined the church and Ensign Peak $5 million for using shell companies to obscure the size of the investment portfolio under church control. The church has since agreed to pay $1 million, and Ensign Peak will pay $4 million. Church officials didn't immediately respond for comment on this lawsuit. That wraps up the news from over the break. Thanks for watching Franciscan Beat News. I'm Thomas Payer. Good night, and God bless.